hidden New York is everywhere.
It's just the places that you always think about going but never go.
Ruins and more recently abandoned buildings. There's no single thread that unites them, except that they are more connected to another era than they are to today's contemporary city.
I've never used the term urban spelunking to describe what I do.
Well, I'm sure it's probably unsafe inside. Yeah, people shouldn't be in there. It's fenced off.
I think it's just a term that describes people that, you know, go out and risk their freedom and risk their safety to, you know, uncover parts of New York that are not normally accessible by, you know, they're not like trespassing into spaces. Yeah, that's what I believe it is.
Urban spelunking or urban exploring basically is running around any part of the city that most people don't normally get to see.
It's like a set number of people that go to these places, but the internet and all these websites that exist kind of give people the initiative, like the little boost they need to get them to go out and explore.
It's one of the few things I've found in today's world that has a sense of mystery about it and a sense of real exploration and discovery. The old smallpox hospital on South End of Roosevelt Island is fantastic because it's the only ruin, as far as I know, that New York has officially recognized as being important and historic. And with the lights on it at night as you go up the West Side Highway, it's just gorgeous, you know? Looks like an old castle over there. It's been abandoned and left to rot. The smallpox was really one of the big scourges of New York in its early centuries. That hospital kind of shows it because they built this really impressive, ornate structure to be the quarantine hospital for smallpox. We managed to completely eradicate the disease, which is one of the biggest public health victories in the history of the world.
That building is the old wheat grain factory. I believe it was used mainly in the 40s and 50s where the cargo ships would come in. But I think it's been out of order. Probably people have been in there like since maybe the 60s.
It was built when they expanded the old Erie Canal because grain shipping really died out very suddenly. I want to say 1959, it was somewhere right around there that the St. Lawrence Seaway in Canada was opened. And that provided a much more direct connection to the Atlantic. New York shipping was also very expensive, and so very suddenly all the people who worked in the grain shipping industry in New York were out of work. And they went on strike when the work started drying up. But unfortunately, them striking and the extra costs associated with it just drove the last of the grain shippers out of New York.
When you pass by a manhole and you hear water underneath it and you're curious about like, oh, I wonder what's down there, that's the hidden New York.
The Atlantic Avenue Tunnel is fantastic. It's, I mean, just such a cool space. Right?
When people come down here, it kind of wakes up the 8-year-old kid inside of them, and it gets them excited and enthusiastic about it, like it's a treasure hunt, sort of.
And it's so unexpected. I mean, that Atlantic Avenue is loud, obnoxious road, and then you go down this manhole in the middle of the street and you're in that giant, quiet space.
An interesting thing that happened when they were building the tunnel was that at one point the workers went on strike for more pay. So the railroad responded by telling the workers that they have to work on Sundays to try to catch up and make the construction work quicker. Now, working on Sundays was a big no-no because that was their Sabbath day back then. And on top of that, the railroad told them that they didn't have any extra money to pay them for working Sundays. They just wanted the workers to be nice guys and work for free on Sundays. So one of the laborers, one of the sandhogs, didn't like the way this labor negotiation was going on, so he pulled a derringer out of his boot, shot the overseer in the head, who was English, by the way, and then chopped him up into pieces and hid his pieces behind the wall where I'm sitting right now, behind the 6-foot thick stone wall. And this is all written up in a newspaper from 1844, so it has to be real, right?
I mean, there's a lot of history underground, and I feel that they're the most interesting because they're time capsules. Like, gentrification doesn't affect the subway tunnels, you know, like, new buildings that get built don't affect the subway tunnels. Like, there's no way when you're in a New York City subway tunnel to know what year you're in. You're in New York City and you look around, all you see is colors, all you see is like vibrant lights everywhere, cars, people wearing flashy clothing, and like you go into a subway tunnel and most of them are usually so dark and so dim that it becomes like you only see one color. It's like sepia, or it's like looking through your eyes and seeing sepia or black and white because it's like there's no available light. And it's like a really, I can't explain the experience, I get goosebumps talking about it. It's like the most fun thing for me to do. Like,
places I go to, the hidden little corners and the nooks and crannies and the tops of bridges and buildings, these are all places that are not part of the daily contemporary city. And they do two things. They offer a different perspective on the city, and they make you feel as if you're going into a time capsule, really. They are places that have been ignored and untouched for so many years that it's as if they still belong to that era that they came out of.
I feel like everyone should do it, you know? It shouldn't be a small, select kind of people that you can put a label on, like, oh, they're urban spelunkers. Like, everyone should explore their city, you know what I mean? Because, like, the places are here, they're sitting, they're decaying, they're condemned places. Like, the city's not going to do anything with them. You should have the ability to go in them. And I feel like that's important because, like, to know your city's history, you know? Don't just live in New York City and go from point A to point B without questioning what you see or looking at something and be like, oh, I wonder what's in there. Like, go find out, you know?